Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today, I have a very special guest. She is somebody who I met in our Diva Business School, which is a mastermind class of women entrepreneurs who are looking to build their business and also improve their lives. And she joined a little bit later than when our group started. And when she did, I thought, man, I'm like, why is she in this group? She is so talented. Like, she is somebody who I aspire to be. She is certified 3 times in life coaching. And when she was telling us like some of her big goals when she was introducing herself, I was like, yes, I know that I'm going to learn a lot from this woman and I'm going to be so inspired by her. So like I said, she is a certified life coach. She is a wife and a mother of 2 boys. So I have with me today, Rebecca Ingebrigtsen. I think I was really trying hard not to mess that up. But she is going to be sharing with you how she got started. So she was a stay-at-home mom, and then she was looking for her passion. So she's going to kind of walk us through that on how she figured out who she was, what it was that she wanted to do, and how she has a successful marriage and raising 2 boys. So Rebecca is going to be sharing that with us. So without further ado, welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being a part of this. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. This is my first podcast, and I'm excited to be doing that with you.
Yes, me too. Well, how about you tell everybody, I know a little bit about your background and your bio, but can you kind of give us a little bit of history on where you started and how it got you to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So actually, where I like to start when I'm telling my story is that I was a registered nurse. After I graduated, went to nursing school, got a job, got married, all the things that everybody says that we all grow up thinking that's what we need to do, right? We're going to go to college, get a job, get married, have kids. And I did all that. And it was really awesome. Everything was great, but I really wanted to be home with the boys. I just really did. I hated leaving for work. They would stand in the window and wave goodbye to me, and I would just drive away with tears running down my face. I just always wanted to be a mom, and I knew I wanted to have an opportunity to stay home with them, but I just didn't really see that in our future where we were. But then my husband got a job offer, which was going to bring us back to really close to where our parents were and our siblings. So we jumped on that opportunity. And when we were looking for a house, we were actually living with my parents. We were looking for a house, and I said, well, maybe we can swing this so I don't have to go back to work. I really liked nursing. It never just did feel like my passion. I love helping people, and I was good at it, but it just didn't feel like right for me. So I didn't have the strong pull to go back to work. So I was able to stay home for about 5 or 6 years until my youngest went to school. And then I was like looking around my house going, this just isn't the same now that everyone's gone. I'll say my house was really clean and the suppers were always made on time. But other than that, it kind of lost the fulfillment for me. And the scary part was that I had no idea what to do with it. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had lost myself in motherhood, which I'm not upset about at all because, it's such an important job.
Mm-hmm.
But once they were gone, I was like, well, I'm not the person I was before I had kids. And staying at home isn't the same now that they're not home all the time. But I didn't want to go back to work either. I didn't want to go back to work at the hospital. That's nights, weekends, holidays. I was missing with the kids when I was doing that. And I didn't want to miss any of their activities. So I was kind of lost.
Mm-hmm.
Started volunteering places. Okay, I got all this time now. What can I do? So I started volunteering because I love helping people. And I thought, well, maybe I'll find my passion doing that. But it wasn't until my husband suggested life coaching, and I was like, what is that? Never even heard of it. Looked it up, and I was like, oh my God, yes, this is exactly the way I want to help people. So I wasn't extremely confident, so I found this program online. It was just an online program to get certified. Jumped on it, was scared to death to do it. and just really put everything I had into it. And after that, launched my business with very little success. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't know how to launch a business. We were trying to create a website, all of the things that come along with it. And that's when I found the life coach school, and I completely fell in love with Brooke Castillo and everything she teaches. And I just thought, oh my God, she's like completely on point. That's how I want to coach people. So I did the bravest thing I've ever done in my whole life, spent more money on myself than I ever have, and traveled across the country by myself to get certified with the life coach school. So I actually got 2 certifications there in life coaching and weight coaching. And then came back and then just been continuing to build my business from there.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So lots of things that I want to touch on with this. But when you said that your husband suggested that, now I think that's very interesting because I kind of felt like the same way you did. I didn't know about life coaching until I guess this was probably 7 years ago, because it was right around the time that my husband and I got married, and I was working at Fifth Third Bank, the corporate bank here in Cincinnati, and a girl that I worked with had talked about life coaching. And I was like, what is this life coaching? Like, tell me more about it. Like, so it's not a therapist, but it's a life coach. Like, this woman's going to help me figure out my life and what I'm passionate about, and just kind of let me talk about me for an hour. Like, all right, let me just lay on the couch and tell me all about that. So I did that, and I really liked her. I didn't stick with it. It was one of those things where I thought I took a couple tips and was on my way, and clearly that didn't work out. But I think that that's interesting that your husband knew that and suggested it. So where did your husband hear about that? Was it somebody that he knew, or was it something that he read about?
I think it was something he read about. I'm not exactly sure where he had found it. I can't remember now. That was a couple of years ago, but he just brought it up to me, and then I was like, what is that? And so then the next day he was at work, and I just looked into it, and I was like, yes. And it's amazing because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but he knows me better than I know me. I haven't been paying attention to myself for so long with being home with the kids. And so just for him to know, I just thought that was really awesome. It was like, I just love you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's really something that we as women in general struggle with, but also when you add kids into it, and we're mothers, that we do give so much of ourselves to our kids that sometimes all of a sudden you don't realize how much you've let your wants, needs, and desires to the side because you are pouring yourself into that. And I agree with you. There's nothing I would change about all the love that I pour into my kids and all the attention. But, with the saying about when you're on an airplane and it's going down, you're supposed to put your mask on first so that you can help everybody else. And I think that that's a big step that some mothers miss, that they're taking care so much of everybody else. And that's not, intentional or unintentional, but it's just a need that we all have, that we need to care for everybody else, that sometimes I think doesn't matter, how we take care of ourselves. It's about them. But it's so essential to take care of us. And I know you and I spoke before this because I said that was one of my biggest fears, and why I'm so passionate about finding out what it is that I want to do and help other women, because I didn't want to have that moment where I woke up one day and my kids were out of the house and I didn't know who I was. My relationship with my husband had fallen apart, and maybe we don't know who each other are now. And now I wonder, what am I supposed to do with my life? And so I think that that's something to speak on too. So that's something that you struggled with and that you were able to find. So what do you suggest for other women if they don't know what their calling is, if they don't know what it is, if they don't have that husband or spouse or significant other that's helping them, and maybe they're just so stuck in their own bubble that they don't know what it is that they want to do, and maybe they don't even realize that they're lost yet, but helping them, what's one step that they could do to help them figure out what it is that they want to do?
So something that I do with my clients now is I have them write down 100 things that they love. It can be something they love to do or something that they just love. Sometimes it's sunrises, sunsets, walks, whatever it is. So 100 things, I have them write down 100 things. I don't have them really filter it. Just has to be something that they love or love to do. And then I take that and I kind of categorize what they're, the things on that list. And then that really like shows like sometimes people really like, like puzzles. Like I know that's a really general term, but it can really be with anything. Like for me, it was just all about like caring for others and helping out. Well, not all of it, but a big portion of it. And that really helps to see because we all have so many passions. We all love so many things. So it's really hard to narrow it down. So then you can just kind of see where's the bulk of your passion lies. And then how can you incorporate that into your life in a way that is fulfilling?
Mm-hmm.
Because when my kids went to school, being a stay-at-home mom wasn't fulfilling to me anymore. But I wanted to be available to them anytime they needed. If they were sick at school, I wanted to be right there. If they had a school program or anything afterwards, I wanted to be right there. So really, you have to just be really honest with yourself, where you are now, how you're feeling, what you love, and then just kind of start from there. But not beat yourself up in the process.
Yes.
Just be really loving with yourself and give yourself time. I didn't find life coaching for probably, I don't know, maybe a year after, when I was just volunteering and just looking for things. And just give yourself the time to find what it is, because it might not be the first thing you try, and it's probably not going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Just trial and error, trying different things on, seeing
Definitely.
how they fit. So when you went to the life coach school, how long were you away from your family?
So the training itself, so I think I ended up being gone for 8 or 9 days total, which I had gone away before. I had gone on a camping trip with my dad where we didn't have any cell phones for a week, and that was really hard. So I thought, okay, well, at least at this time I'll have my phone with me. I can call, and that will be better too. But actually, I really loved traveling by myself. I thought I was gonna hate it because I'm just not the type of person to do things by myself. And it was a nice little vacation. Like I didn't have to feed anybody. I could get up whenever I wanted. Like I thought I'd be bored in the hotel room by myself, but it was like kind of felt like a queen. Actually, I was like, I'm just gonna try not to be too sad and take advantage of the time that I do have.
Yeah, absolutely. The time that you have that's so uninterrupted.
Yes.
I said that when we were on our Michigan retreat that our coach Stacy had hosted, and I thought like, oh my gosh, I'm always so nervous about like what's going on with my kids when I'm not there. But I was like, this is my time. Like I am diving in so selfishly for 5 days so that I can come out of this so much more fulfilled and become a better mom, that when I come home, I'm like, here I am.
Right. And society doesn't really teach us that it's important for us to take care of ourselves first. We have all these outside sources kind of making us feel that we need to be everything to everybody at all times, which makes it really easy for us to put ourselves on the back burner. Yeah. And so when we are gone, we do have that break. We don't know how to mentally take that break. And it's just so important to be like where you are, be present where you are, and with what you're doing, because then you can come back refreshed and renewed and give so much more to your family without it feeling like such a burden or like it's taking everything out of you.
Right. And you just said something that I wanted to touch on, because I think that this is a big part of what a lot of women and moms especially deal with, is because of with society. Everybody has their rules. This is how you should parent. This is how you should discipline. This is what you need to be doing. This, you should. That word should and parenting gets thrown around so often. And I think a lot of women can get overwhelmed and beat themselves up because they don't feel like they're falling into the typical mom role or mom type of the mom that they think that they should be. And I think this has helped me a lot when I hired Stacey as my life coach, because it helped me manage my own thoughts and realize that no matter what somebody else said, it didn't impact who I was as a mom, because I knew I was a good mom. And with motherhood, there is a lot of trial and error. So maybe some ways that I raise them or discipline them aren't going to work. So I adjust and try again. Have you ever felt that kind of pressure with being a certain type of mom and falling into a category? And did that affect you? Or was it something that after you became a certified life coach and having your own coach that you were able to kind of manage those?
Yeah, I definitely struggled with that. I remember when the kids were fairly small, constantly feeling that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't doing enough. I always think, oh, I don't read books to them enough. Oh, I don't take them outside enough. I don't do this enough or that enough, and they don't get this and that. And just never really giving myself any credit for what I was doing
Mm-hmm.
and how hard it was at the time, because I was working night shifts, and so I was tired constantly. Um, and we were just more in survival mode than anything, and just always making all of those little things, like not reading to them enough, I was making that mean that I was a terrible mom and that I was ruining their life, like
Mm-hmm.
their future. And that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, especially when you're just figuring it out. Like, there is no handbook, and we don't know what to do, and what's right for me isn't the same that's the thing that's right for you. So just, I do remember putting a lot of pressure on myself for a long time. And the life coaching, definitely, once I started learning those concepts, I did start to realize how important it was for myself to be emotionally stable. And not that I was unstable, but I was just not managing it at all, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of reacting to whatever came up.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know any other way. So life coaching for sure. And for anybody out there, there's so many like life coaching books and podcasts and tools, and you can get really great results on your own. You don't have to invest a lot in order. There's so many free ways. So I just encourage everybody to just reach out, because there's so many ways to get relief right away. Now, hiring a coach is amazing, and I obviously recommend that, because the results come so much faster with somebody else, kind of pointing things out and helping you. But
Yeah, because they can see things that you don't, like
yes,
because when we're stuck inside of our bubble, I know that Stacey had said that when we were at the retreat, and it's something that stuck with me is when you're inside the picture, you can't see the frame. So when you have
definitely.
somebody else, when you have a life coach or, somebody else being able to look outside and be able to help you, because sometimes when we're in our own tailspin, we're like, oh, I can't even find my way out. You're stuck in this maze and you just are so overwhelmed and anxious that you don't find a way. But
Right.
I agree. I think that there are so many useful outlets for women to be able to find help on their own if they needed to.
Mm-hmm. And most of us have like a support group,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the same kind of support. When somebody's always telling you like, yeah, you should be mad about that. Yeah, you should be frustrated. Of course you're tired. And it feels good at the time, but it's really not moving you forward. It's not helping you to feel better or to get out of that kind of situation. And so, yeah, your friends and your family are really important for support, but then, managing your mindset is like, it's just where it's at. I
Yes.
just think everybody needs a crash course on it, because it changes everything, and it changes it immediately. Get that little paradigm shift, and your whole thoughts move over here and see it from a different angle. There's just something really powerful about that.
Yes. I agree 100%, obviously. And another thing that you said that I feel like is so important is being present in the moment. So whether you have kids or not, I feel like that's huge. So for other women out there who are even full-time working moms, or if they're building their business as an entrepreneur like you did, how do you remain present in the moment, whether it's with your spouse, significant other, or with your kids? Because I know a lot of times, even if it is a job that you have, a corporate job where you're working the 9 to 5, or, killing yourself, building your own business and being an entrepreneur. Because a lot of times I find myself like this as well with being an entrepreneur and building my business, that I constantly think about things that I should be doing. So whether it's things around the house, things with my kids, things with my business, how do you help? What's your best way for staying present?
So that's a really good question. And I think that's something that is kind of like a moving target. So one thing I like to always tell my clients too is that it's like a pendulum. Sometimes it's going to swing all the way over to your business. That's where you're going to spend a lot of your time. Sometimes it's going to swing all the way over to your family, whatever it is, but it's always going to come back somewhere in the middle. And it's okay to spend more time on your business sometimes, and it's okay to spend more time on your family sometimes. But always keep in mind that it's kind of swings back and forth. So being in the present moment is really what saves you when you are trying to work from home, or when you're trying to get out of that mindset of, oh, I should, what's coming next. Um, it just takes practice in order to do it. So it's not going to feel natural to anybody when they first start doing this. So for me, when I'm working, I just kind of like give myself like a second to like take a breath and say, okay, I'm at work now. Like I imagine myself at work, even though I'm at home. And I give myself like a time limit, like and I'm at work for an hour. But then when I'm done, then I try to like close all of my stuff up. I try not to leave everything laying out, because when I see my work, my mind goes to my work. Oh, that's right, I got to do that. Oh, I got to check my email. Oh, what's that next thing I have to do tomorrow? So one of my clients, would leave her stuff out on the table, and she was like, I don't know, I'm always working. So she had an office that she wasn't using. So I said, what if you just close up all your stuff and you put it in your office and close the door? And then that's your signal that you're home. Because it's so much different when you drive to the office and then when you drive home. And when you're working at home, you don't have that luxury, and everything mixes in. So for me, it was even like, don't start a load of laundry when I'm going to start working, because then I'm going to feel compelled to get up and put it in the dryer, or fold it, or put it away. So just really limiting your distractions. So when we're spending family time, if we're going to play a family game, I'll even just keep my cell phone in a different room, because I don't want to be distracted. I don't want to say, ooh, I want to see if I have another follower. Ooh, I got to check that. I'm waiting for an email from somebody. It is just so easy to do that. And in the world we live in today, it's just constant information. You can get it anytime, anywhere. And just being really mindful. I think it's just being honest with yourself, like how much time do you want to spend at work working? How much time do you want to spend with your family? And then the most important thing I would say is making sure you have time to work on your marriage. And when I say work on it, it doesn't necessarily have to seem like work, but a date, a movie. We put our kids to bed fairly early. They wake up early, but when we've always kind of done that, because that gives us a couple of hours at night for just us. Sometimes we're talking about the kids. Sometimes we're talking about other things. Sometimes we're just watching movies, but it's alone time that we get. And we're not necessarily like working on other things. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that's very important that you said that, because when you say like working on, because I think that I've definitely found myself in that flow where you think like, okay, well, you got married and now we're okay, we're in this together, so I have definitely found myself at times not putting as much effort into my marriage and relationship as I have, because, as soon as we got married, it was boom, then we're going to start trying to have kids. And then everything got shifted to these kids that we hadn't even had yet.
Yeah.
And everything can kind of fall to the wayside with that. And I have found that it's so important to still keep dating, still keep, working on your relationship with your husband. And it's not just something that you can put on autopilot.
No.
It's something that's consistent and you have to do every day. And like you said, even if it's those couple hours at home where you have, or if you do a date night, but it's so important to connect. And that kind of rolls into, this is something that you're going to be having a webinar about coming up soon, isn't it?
Yes, relationships.
Okay,
yeah,
so tell us a little bit about that.
So I think when I first started doing work on relationships, like I didn't know anything about life coaching at the time. And now I'm looking back, I can see that I was self-coaching. I was coaching myself through some of these things. But now looking back, it was actually my marriage is what I started self-coaching myself on the relationships. We were arguing and I was just saying the meanest things. Like I literally was thinking in my head, like, what's going to hurt the most? What's going to sting the most? And all of a sudden I was like, what am I doing? This is the person that I claim to love the most, and I'm treating him like crap. I would never talk to anybody like that, even somebody I hated. This is my partner. This is my life partner. I'm treating him terribly. So I started just changing my mindset, changing the way I spoke with him. And I didn't tell him that I was doing that, But I stopped using things like you always or you never when I was arguing. Simple change. And it really did start this whole shift in the relationship. So I was just really afraid that I was going to push him away, and then I wasn't gonna have him there with me. So, but then, so that was when I first started. So I mean, these changes can be small, and you can have big changes. But I also had this, big rift in the family with my mom and my sister. And that was my really, really big relationship issue that I was really having trouble with. And I was ready to just walk away completely. I said, I just want to move. I just don't want to be here. I just can't deal with this. It's too much for me. It was so painful. Our relationships are so important to us that when they're not going smoothly, it is so painful. And it really just took over everything in my mind. And I decided that for me, I needed to figure it out because I wanted my kids to be able to see what healthy relationships look like. I didn't want to just say all these coaching things to them. I wanted to live it so they could have a leg up when they're an adult and dealing with these relationships, because relationships are just tricky. You have different people and you're coming from two different angles, and it's really our ego that causes all the problems. And just learning how to kind of let go of that ego. But so I wanted to work on relationships ever since I was started life coaching, but just kept telling myself that I'd do that later. I'll do that later. I'll do that later. But another second of bravery, I announced that I was going to do it on a Facebook Live. And so then I started getting it together, and I just felt like, oh, why have I not been doing this? Because it just does feel so right to me. And I just know there's so many people out there who are struggling with relationships. And there just is hope. Like now I have so much love for my mom and my sister. Everything isn't perfect, but I'm learning how to be okay, or I have learned how to be okay with that. Now it's still tricky. Sometimes things happen and it's like, I have these thoughts, these old thoughts, but it's so much easier for me to get out of it. Where I used to let something bother me for maybe a week or more, if I'm being honest. Now, like, it might be hours or just one day. And it's just so important it just allows me to show up to the relationship in a whole different way. When I was really honest with myself, I realized the part I played in the way our relationship was. And I couldn't see that before. Of course, it was all them, and they were doing something to me.
It's never us.
Right. And then, it wasn't very comfortable. But so one of the things is that I always felt like I wasn't good enough for my mom. And this was one of my big aha moments. But when I was really honest with myself, one day I was thinking about that, and I thought, I wonder if she feels that way about me. And I realized, and I'm not proud of it, but I realized that if she thought that, she probably would have been right. That I've always expected something else, something more, something different than what she was. And how terrible that must feel for her. So now I'm probably going to cry because I'm a mom. And how terrible would that feel for me if my kids were constantly giving me this vibe that I wasn't good enough for them? Because it's so easy to feel like you're not good enough anyway. So it allowed me to come to the relationship in a whole different way, with her in mind instead of me in mind. And it changes everything.
And I think that is huge, because I think it's easy, like when you're the child, to not think about what they might be thinking about, because I think I've always viewed like parents as like superhuman, and we can do no wrong. And even like with a spouse too, like we always hurt the ones we love the most, and we always like cut the deepest, and those are the ones that we can push back on and dump all of our feelings on, whether they're good or bad. And I think that that's also something so important that to recognize and realize, because I have noticed, and not in a proud way, and this is essentially why like I've created like the group for moms as well, because now you're gonna make me cry. But it's like those moments that like I catch myself, like how I speak to my kids. And, it's not always in a soft tone. And I'm like, can you imagine like from a 4-year-old, like somebody over you, like yelling at you, saying these things, and how that probably might make them feel. So like since working with Stacey and figuring out like the way that I speak to them and how they must be interpreting it and how they must feel. And I don't want them to be raised up thinking that they're always doing something wrong,
right?
That they're not good enough.
Yes.
They don't ever meet my standards, and how important it is to also acknowledge all of the good things. So every time they do something wrong and I have to correct them, then say 5 things that I love about them too, and especially with parents, I think that we sometimes don't always pay attention to our relationships with them as well. So realizing and taking ownership and responsibility for the part that we play in that, and then realizing what it is that's in our control and then what's not in our control. Because I know that
For
you
sure.
know that very well about, when you see situations that you can control, how you handle them, but then in the situations that you can't control, how you change your mindset, like how it was with your mom and your sister, like how you just looked at it differently. It might not be something you can control, but just the way that you view it. And that changed how you felt inside, and then inevitably changed your whole relationship.
Right. For sure.
Amazing.
And I remember feeling that way as a mom too. And sometimes I still do. I'm not always proud of how I speak to my kids. But I remember when my youngest son was like a toddler and he was kind of whiny about something. And I remember going, nah, like back to him. And then I was like, how rude was that of me? Like how mean, just kind of like making fun of him and just being really irritated. Yeah, it's just so easy to fall into those things, especially when we're not paying attention to what's going on. We're just reacting. And so a lot of what I teach is not reacting, but like knowing ahead of time, like how you want to show up. And it doesn't have to mean that you know exactly what's going to happen in a situation, but just knowing the kind of person that you want to be, and then just always kind of striving for that.
Yes. That's what I'm trying to do. Striving the most controlled version of myself I can, because reacting, I think, can be very hard no matter what. It's something that's just very natural. And it's one of those things, especially if you have been that way all your life and then trying to change it. So, I'm 35. So like acting a certain way for 34, 35 years, and all of a sudden being like, gotta change that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. So like you said, just give yourself some grace and compassion during this transition. And, it's like you said, it's going to happen where you're not going to get it right the first time, but that's okay. Like to keep trying.
Yeah, definitely. Always keep trying and realize that you're never going to like arrive there. You're never going to be perfect at it. I mean, if you think about it, all these like professional sports players and stuff, they don't make the basket every time. They don't always get the touchdown. Sometimes they drop the pass, whatever it is. We're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
So our thoughts don't define us either. We can just easily redirect our brain. Like, oh no, I'm not a bad mom. I'm a good mom.
Yes.
But I'm not perfect. And that's okay. And how terrible would it be if we were all perfect anyway? I was thinking about this the other day, like it'd be like the Stepford Wives type of thing. Everyone's happy. Everything's perfect. There's no problems. That would be the creepiest world to live in.
It would. We'd all be like wound up robots, like just working on autopilot. Like, no, we need a little ups and downs in our life.
Absolutely.
That's how you realize what's good and what's bad and what you appreciate, and what you're grateful for, is when you have moments like that where you're like, oh God, I'm so grateful I'm not like that all the time and I can pull myself out of that. Or I'm so grateful my kids are still speaking to me and my husband's still married to me.
Exactly. I know. I think I said something on one of my Facebook lives, like my poor husband, he just loves me through every flavor of crazy I come up with.
Because he gets those moments of like the cherry on top. He's like, oh, there she is.
She's back.
So your webinar is on August 10th. Is that correct?
Yes. So that's coming up in a few days here. So August 10th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay. So is that something that's free, or do people have to pay? How do they sign up? Where do they find out more information?
Yeah. So I'm doing it for free. I'm really excited to reach as many people as possible, because I just know how how terrible it feels to be stuck and wondering, like, do I leave this relationship? Is there even any hope? Like, I just feel like I've hit a brick wall. I just nothing more I can do. Like, it's just so devastating to sometimes when you're in these big, like, relationship problems. So I wanted to just reach as many people as possible. So it's completely free. It's going to be about an hour, but I'm going to answer questions and maybe do some coaching at the end if there's time. So it could go a little bit over. People can sign up. You can find out all the information on my website. So that's just www.inspiredactionspersonalcoaching.com. It's right there on the homepage. You can't miss it. All the information is right there for you. So I'm going to be just telling people how to feel better now, change the relationship without having that awkward confrontation, because I think that's what everyone's worried about. You know, I don't want to have this weird other talk.
And I think that is something that's like to be worked on too. A lot of people don't know how to approach the subject, right?
Right.
If there is something that they're not happy with. So that's something that you'll help them with, figuring out a way to approach the topic with whoever it is that they need to speak to.
Yeah, for sure. And then also letting people know, like, when is the right time to leave a relationship and when it isn't. Now, some of the relationships aren't going to be options for us to leave. Most of us aren't going to leave a relationship with our kids if we're having trouble with our kids. So that's kind of a different situation. But there are appropriate times to walk away from a relationship, and then there are, times where it's inappropriate. So just really laying that out there, because that's one of the things that I was searching for. I was searching for any website, any person, any blogger to let me know it was okay to leave.
So this, when you say relationships, this kind of like falls under everything under the umbrella. So it can be a relationship with your family, with your friends, with your spouse, with your kids. So this just isn't about like husband and wife or boyfriend, girlfriend. Like this falls under everything under the umbrella.
Yeah, so the stuff I'm teaching on the webinar is for just relationships in general. So it's going to be something anybody could use. Even if you're not having a problem in your relationship, this is going to help. It's going to help improve relationships. It's going to give you that paradigm shift to take with you for every relationship you have. But really trying to reach the people who are just really struggling right now, because I know how that feels, and there is hope. So it's for anybody. But yeah, I'm just trying to find all the people out there who are waiting for something like this, because this is what I was looking for. So I'm really excited to just bring it to the world.
Oh, good. I'm excited too. And so what else do you have going on? So if other people are interested, whether do you offer private coaching for your group coaching? Do you have anything open right now that if people want to talk to you directly or find out more information about what you're offering, where can people find out that information?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I have a lot of information on my website, so people can go there. Those Inspired Actions Personal Coaching. Also, I'm going to be launching a group coaching program, all on relationships, about improving your relationships. It's going to be a 12-week program. I'm going to launch that. The calls are going to start somewhere in October. I haven't nailed down a date yet, but I'm going to before the webinar starts. So I'm really excited about that. Now, if anybody wants to do private coaching, I definitely offer that, but I always do a consult first. So I would just want to hop on the phone with you. And right now I'm doing free life strategy sessions, because I'm right in the middle of a 100-day Facebook Live challenge. And so I'm giving away 100 of the life strategy sessions for free.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
While I'm doing that. So that I would encourage anybody to jump on now, because I'm probably not going to be offering those for free again after this. Because it was actually, I think it was Stacy's coach that kind of said, like, you shouldn't be offering any coaching for free. And so I was like, well, after this, then I will.
Kind of too late now. We're already in the middle of it.
But I understand what she means about that. But I am still really excited to just kind of get it out there, because I like to give little nuggets and people, just help them feel better. They can come back to coaching if it's something that's right for them. I think it's really hard to invest when you haven't experienced it yet. I like to give that little taste test. So I know if you're right for me, you know if I'm right for you. Because there's lots of different coaches out there. And I'm not going to be everybody's, jam.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's something that you have to find that fit that feels best to you. And, maybe both of you are aligned with the same thing. So I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. So if they wanted to do a consult with you, is that something they would go to your website for, or how would they schedule that with you?
Yes, they could go to my website, or and then just like there's the contact button, they can send me an email that way. My email address is Rebecca@inspiredactionspersonalcoaching.com, or Facebook. They can go ahead. My page is Inspired Actions Personal Coaching. That's my business page. Um, yeah, you can just send me a private message on Facebook or comment on any of the videos. There's 52 of them, so there's plenty of options. But yeah, for anybody who's interested in that too, I've done 52 videos so far in my Facebook lives, and I've uploaded them to YouTube, so you can find me on Facebook, or my YouTube channel is Rebecca Ingebrigtsen, which is probably going to be hard to find since my last name.
We'll write it all in the
crazy,
notes. When we share this, we'll have all the links for you. So everybody will have all the
yeah.
links shared there.
So there's lots of free information there for anybody who's interested in just kind of seeing what I'm all about and, the stuff that I talk about.
Yeah.
So lots of options right now.
Yes, tons of options and such good information. So
Yeah.
we've got, all right, so August 10th, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
That's going to be the webinar. People can sign up before. Can they sign up all the way until
You
1?
can sign up all the way to the end. Yep.
And then what about if they want to catch it what if they sign up for it and they can't make it? Is it recorded and they can get it later?
Yes, I am going to record it, and I'm going to offer like a 48-hour replay.
Okay.
On that. So I would suggest, even if you can't make it live to the webinar, still sign up. So then I have your email address. I'll send that to the people who are signed up. So after the 10th, you won't be able to catch the replay unless you are already signed up for it. So.
Okay. So make sure you sign up because you don't want to miss it. Because I'm going to be signing up for it. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for your time and sharing all of your information and all of your knowledge and inspiring me again. And I know inspiring all the other women who are going to be listening to this. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I know that I had told you before, but you've been a big inspiration to me as well. And the first podcast that I listened to of yours, I was like, oh, I feel like I just found my best friend. Like I was just thinking, like, wish we lived close, because I just felt like everything was so similar. And I just loved the way you told your story, and just so personable, and just love you.
Thank you. I love you too. I love you. I love you. So thank you so much. And everybody else, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Bye.